Welcome to my YouTube channel. If you have not already done so, please click subscribe. Masculinity. On this site, we talk about everything masculine. Business, family, faith, finance, fitness, fierceness, and sometimes even war. All right? But right now, today, I want to talk to you about being able to communicate. The confidence needed as a man to communicate effectively without falling back to the archaic mindset of aggression. So you don't have to be aggressive to translate your thoughts into a nice stream of words presented to people in a way where they are persuaded to reevaluate their own viewpoints or even possibly challenge yours from a place of fact, not just being the devil's advocate or for, how should I put it, not to be disrespectful to individuals that like to play devil's advocate. We need that. We need that challenge because iron does sharpen iron. But not for the individuals who are deliberately just trying to find a reason to argue and fight. You want to have conversations with other men and other women at a level or caliber that may challenge what you believe, may force you to go back and do some research, may force you to reassess your own belief systems. But during that dialogue, you are able to maintain a cool demeanor, maintain a nice, proper delivery, use real life facts, understanding the emotional intelligence of the individual you're communicating with or the crowd you're communicating with, and you did it in confidence. The quickest way for a man to have his confidence questioned is for him to stumble over his words when he is trying to articulate his point. When you are a man and you are trying to become a more masculine man. Now, some men, we like to, we may sit in the back a little bit. We don't mind observing the whole dynamic and sitting there thinking, contemplating what's going on in the conversation. But some of us, we're natural born leaders. We find ourselves as the actual focus point of that debate, the focus point of that content that someone's trying to elaborate on, expound on, or teach on. And you find yourself being possibly the duty expert without you trying to be that, but you might actually be put in that position. Okay? So if you find yourself in that position, brothers, I want you to be able to articulate your thoughts without aggression. Be able to use facts, reference points, stories, again, emotional intelligence, reading the room, reading how people are receiving you, reading how they're responding to you, and knowing how to adjust what you're saying in a way that is easy for individuals to take in, to digest. There's nothing wrong with having a large vocabulary and using those big words and wowing people with your academic prowess, but many times some of the deepest things can be revealed with very simple words, good parables or comparisons, and delivered with wit, a smile, maybe even a joke at the end of it. But being able to remain confident when you are articulating as a man is a key component to develop trust, not only in your own abilities, but trust from others in your abilities while you're delivering that message. When people listen to a man talk, they look at his posture. How are your shoulders when you're talking? Are you slouched over, unconfident? Are you, all those filler words take away from people giving you the credibility and the masculine respect that you deserve. It isn't about aggression. It's about using wit, intelligence, wisdom, research, perfect timing, and again, emotional intelligence to deliver a thought clearly and concisely so people can get what you're trying to say. And after the conversation, even if you don't necessarily persuade everybody to go with your train of thought, they go home and they reassess their belief system. They start to think and question, and you provoke deep thought. And that is a beautiful thing, to be a man who can provoke thought in others by simply articulating your point, even if your point is not in alignment with their traditional beliefs. You can have a great conversation as a man. And the beautiful part about being able to articulate effectively as a man in whether a bar, a business meeting, or just a conversation between a man you respect, a mentor, or even a mentee, people listening on the outskirts of that dialogue, they are definitely grading your presentation of yourself. You may say, why should I care what other people think? Well, the truth of the matter is, your reputation will precede you. I've had people watch me for a good part of maybe 10 or 15 years coach hundreds of people before they came into my coaching community. Why? They were observing the consistency in my message. They were observing the way I communicate. They were watching diligently, picking apart, poking holes as they should, and what I'm trying to say and what I'm trying to deliver and what I stand for. And that is what you must take into your head as a masculine man. You are always on the stage, and you are always being observed, to be checked, to be followed, to be questioned. You are always in that place on a platform of masculinity. And you must embrace that reality if you want to be a masculine man of impact. It's a way of life. A lion doesn't argue with a jackal because he's a lion. A lion doesn't argue with a sheep because he's a lion. A lion walks on the path he is created to walk on. He articulates within the confines of his own understanding and intelligence of the animal kingdom where he is centrally located. He stays there. He doesn't change where he's located. He stays there. This is my train of thought. I'm the king of the beast. Here's my beliefs. Here's how I hunt. Here's how I expect the lioness to move. He doesn't relocate his belief systems because of his environment. He stands there. And you have to stand in your environment. Don't relocate who you are. Don't relocate your belief system. Stand on those things. And even if your beliefs are wrong and you come across a wiser king or a wiser queen who gives you some information that changes your belief system about some things concerning yourself, your business, your approach to life, or even your views of others, you have to be able to take that stuff in like food. Digest that stuff into your mind and start to gradually massage it into your day-to-day habits and your belief systems if it's true information and if it's information that you weren't privy to before you had that dialogue. But all of that is a part of being able to communicate as a masculine man. You can be wrong, but you can present it in a right way to even though what you said may not have been correct. But your presentation of it in confidence shows people that you are a man of integrity and you will present a fact in a way that can be compelling to others. And you are also willing to be teachable. Those are very powerful components to being masculine. So again, today to my masculine brothers out there, young men, middle-aged men, older men, and you deal with communicating, practice communicating your points slowly, concisely. Articulate your words, put your thoughts together, and find your groove, or your je ne sais quoi, as they say. Find your vibe. Find the frequency. Find the way you like to deliver it. But make sure you do it in actual confidence. Make sure you have your facts checked so you know what you're talking about. And make sure you're open to being corrected in the middle of that dialogue. And you're willing to accept another person's viewpoint, even though it may be totally different from yours. But you can do that with a level of strength, confidence, wisdom, without aggression, and still be respected in the end. If this helped you, my brothers, comment below. Let me know what you think. Click subscribe to my YouTube channel. Share this video. Share my shorts. And above everything else, stay masculine.